I used to not really enjoy RPG games. I don't know why, in all honesty, considering I had a absolute blast with FNAF World, which released when I was around 9 or 10. But whenever someone brought them up and asked me on my opinions for these games, it was always, well, they're boring and gay, or something along those lines. Now, that's not to say I still hate them, because I don't, as is obvious, seeing as I own Deltarune and Minecraft Dungeons. I don't know what made me change my mind about these games, to be straightforward with you, but my hate for these games is one of the main reasons that I postponed playing Undertale or even watching videos about it for so long. I'm not joking either. Whenever someone brought up Undertale, I would say it was a bad game. And my reasoning for this is because the only thing I knew about the game was its fandom. So, like any sane child, I thought that because the fans were bad, that must mean that the game was bad. But boy, was I wrong. If I had to say what makes this game so good in the least words possible, I would say Toby Fox. This man has created a game that somehow manages to be surprisingly simple, yet complex at the same time. Even more so, this game was made almost entirely by Toby Fox, with some help by Temmie Chang, who worked on the art, and from some of the backers who pledged to the game's Kickstarter. Before releasing Undertale, Toby Fox worked on the webcomic Homestuck, as well as creating the Earthbound Halloween hack, which is, as it implies, a ROM hack for Earthbound, the 2008 game, which Toby Fox has gone on the record saying that he regrets making it. But none of these projects made him blow up in the same way that his 2015 release named Undertale did. I finally bought Undertale on my most recent birthday, only because I had the spare money and wanted to see why so many people said it was an amazing game. And so, as I said, I bought it. Undertale opens by saying that two races used to rule the world: humans and monsters. Then, one day, like two parents getting a divorce, a war broke out. The humans then won the battle and sealed the monsters underground forever. Many years later, however, a young child would climb a mountain and fall into a hole, like in Alice in Wonderland, that led to the underground. That is where you, the player, comes in. Almost as soon as you start, you are greeted by a tiny flower who says he will teach you all about the underground and how, in order to survive, all you need is love.
Then immediately tries to ram his throbbing cock up inside of your raw virgin asshole.
But no fear, as a hot goat mom saves you from his evil fire penis. This goat's name is Toriel, and she takes you in and begins leading you to her house. Along the way, she will teach you how to play the game, serving as a tutorial. You are told that when you enter combat, you have two options, that is, to either spare or kill the monsters. If you decide to kill the monsters, then your love and EXP will increase. However, if you decide to spare them instead, you can receive gold, but no love or EXP. Combat in Undertale is pretty straightforward. You just have to time a hit by pressing the confirmation button when a white line is in the middle of the board. When an enemy attacks, you turn into a heart and it becomes a bullet hell game. A cool detail about these sections of the game is the variety between the different fights. All of the monsters shoot projectiles at you, sure, but some of them have twists. For example, some attacks that the enemies will do are colored blue or orange. When the attack is blue, you have to stay still when it hits you in order to not take damage. However, if the attack is orange, then you have to move in order to stay alive. Other attacks can be like homing projectiles. For example, there's this one fight with the Mad Dummy where he shoots homing missiles at you, and you need to avoid them and get them to hit him instead in order to survive. The spare mechanic is also pretty fun. You can select the act button to check the enemy's health and defense, but you can also do things to work towards being able to spare them, and some of them are absolutely hilarious. There is also a pretty big variation of monsters who you will encounter, ranging from a lesbian fish warrior to a femboy robot to even a cute, small, fluffy, married couple that are dogs. But combat isn't the only thing that is in this game, for there are also puzzles you must solve to progress. A majority of the time, you are, or at least you should be, excited to solve these puzzles, as they aren't too difficult and they're usually fun. Pretty early in the game, there's a room with a bunch of invisible holes, and when you walk into one of them, you fall down into a room identical to the puzzle room. However, there are flowers in specific spots, and a writing on the wall that says not to touch them. I personally didn't have that hard of a time figuring this one out. However, during my mom's playthrough of the game, she did. It can be pretty mind-bending sometimes. Eventually, however, you will reach Toriel's home, where she welcomes you in with open arms, embracing you, telling you that the house, the home, is yours now. You then tell her you want to leave the ruins, to which she hastily tells you she has something she must do. When you follow her, she tries to stop you, telling you that it's too dangerous for you to go alone, and whether you spare or kill her, you are able to progress. After you leave the ruins, you set out to find a way to escape the underground. Not so long after that, you run into a strange figure in the woods who tells you to turn around and shake his hand. This turns out to be none other than the skeleton with a dummy thick head, Sans.
Sans has a dummy thick head.
You also end up meeting his brother Papyrus, whose main goal is to become famous by capturing a human and joining the Royal Guard. I can't lie, it's pretty entertaining to listen to the two brothers bicker back and forth and talk to each other all around, just because of how their personalities collide, and also because their jokes are just superb. Papyrus tells you that he's going to capture you and become famous because the king needs 7 human souls to break the barrier and allow all monsters to leave the underground forever. Eventually, after some wacky antics with this brother, you engage in combat with him, where, in order to win, you have to flirt with him, then keep sparing him, or, alternatively, die 3 times without killing him, or, obviously, you can just kill him. Depending on what you do, you can either hang out with him, or take him out on a date after the fight. However, and I think this might just be a bug, but Papyrus ended up rejecting me. Like I said, I'm sure it was just a glitch, because, well, everyone loves me. While on the topic of the date with Papyrus, I should talk about the music for this game, which, by the way, Toby Fox also made entirely by himself. The music is still amazing though, and always feels fresh and fits the mood. The song that plays during your date with Papyrus, Let's Dating Start, is an absolute bop, as are most of the songs. However, my personal favorite song plays during your fight with Muffet, and it's called Spider Dance. It's just so upbeat, but at the same time manages to do an excellent job at conveying the danger that your character is in. I can't honestly think of a song that is in this game that feels weird or out of place, as they all work perfectly. But I would basically be committing crimes against humanity if I was talking about the game's soundtrack and didn't bring up the theme of the game, Undertale. No, seriously, that's actually what it's called. The name of the song is Undertale. This song truly shows Toby's ability to convey a story without even having to speak a word. It's a combination of happy and sad melodies. Mainly the song's His Theme, as well as Once Upon a Time. This song somehow manages to take you on this wild roller coaster ride of emotions and feelings, managing to recap the entire game thus far without, like I said, having a single word spoken. It isn't until the end of the game that you meet the king, King Asgore, that you truly learn of the underground, as well as the backstory of his two children, along with why he has sworn to kill any human that falls into the underground. You learn this story when walking through New Home, as all of the monsters that you've met throughout the game recount to you the Undertale. A long time ago, a small child fell into the underground. Wounded from this fall, the small child called for help. Azrael, the king's son, heard the human and brought them back to the castle. Over time, the two became like siblings. The king and queen accepted this child and treated them as if it were their own. Soon, the underground was filled with hope. That was until one day, when the human, Kara, fell deathly ill. Kara, whilst on their deathbed, had but one request: to see the flowers from their village. But there was nothing that the monsters could do. The day after, Kara passed away. Azrael, filled with grief for the now deceased Kara, absorbed their soul and turned into a being with incredible power, and crossed the barrier, carrying the child's body, and walked to the human's village. Once he reached the village, he found a bed of golden flowers and laid the body on them. Suddenly, screams rang out. The human saw Azrael carrying the body and thought that he had killed Kara. In retaliation, the humans attacked Azrael, fatally wounding him. Azrael had more than enough power to destroy all of the humans with ease, but he didn't. Instead, he limped back through the barrier and into the underground. However, he wasn't able to get far. As soon as he entered the castle, he collapsed. As he died, he turned to dust and was spread across the garden. The kingdom had fallen into despair once again. The king and queen had lost 2 children in one night. The humans had taken everything once again. The king, filled with rage, declared war on the humans, saying that from now on, any humans that fall into the underground are to be killed. With 7 human souls, King Asgore can destroy the barrier forever. Now, if that story didn't destroy your spirit, you then encounter Sans in the Judgment Hall, where he tells you one of the big twists. He tells you that the EXP that you were told about at the beginning of the game doesn't actually stand for experience points, but rather execution points, and that love stands for levels of violence, meaning that every monster you killed added to this. Levels of violence were gained through murdering monsters, and whenever your love went up, that just meant that it was becoming easier for you to distance yourself from the pain that you were inflicting. This makes you feel like shit if you had hurt anyone, even if the only one you had hurt was Jerry. Once you leave the Judgment Hall, you encounter King Asgore, who reluctantly fights you. You then enter battle, and he destroys your mercy bar, marking the point of no return. For some people, this may mean that this is the first time they have ever even pressed the fight button. But once you defeat the king, he falls to his knees, wounded, and tells you his side of the story. He says that he never truly wanted to hurt anyone, but rather saw it as the only thing he could do to bring back hope. He says that once he declared war on the humans, his wife left him out of disgust for his actions, leaving him all alone. After he speaks to you, you are given the chance to either show mercy to him or slay the king. But no matter what you do, the flower from the beginning of the game shows up and fully kills Asgore. He tells you that he has deleted your save file and is now going to save over it with your death, so you can repeatedly live through your own failure. Soon after, you see Flowey absorb the 7 human souls and practically turn into a god, thrusting you into the scariest fight of the game. During my own playthrough, I got to this part at around 2 in the morning. I had to wear headphones because my roommate was asleep, and I got shivers from this boss. Don't laugh. After defeating Flowey in his godlike form, you are given the choice to either spare or kill him. Sparing him will lead to him saying that he won't change and that he's going to come back and kill everybody. But if you persist and spare him anyway, he runs away, not understanding why. He then returns at the end of the credits to give you a hint as to how you can achieve a happier ending. This is where most people will learn that the game has multiple endings. It has the neutral ending, the one you probably did during your first playthrough, the pacifist ending, where you don't hurt anyone, and the genocide ending, which is self-explanatory. I might get into that last one in another video, so comment if you want that. If you take Flowey's advice and decide to do what he told you to, you will meet up with Undine. Depending on whether you went on the date with her or not, she will call you and tell you to meet her at Papyrus's house. Once you meet her, she tells you that she has a letter she needs you to deliver to Alphys, however she refuses to say what is inside of it. You then must go back to the Heartlands and enter the lab. Doing so will cause Alphys to be surprised, but then agree to whatever the letter has written in it. However, the letter was not signed, and this causes some confusion, making Alphys think you wrote it. Following this, Alphys puts on a dress and takes you down to the garbage pile, I guess you would call it, where another date takes place. I must say, once again, I believe that my game bugged out here, because she told me that she was only dating me to be nice, and that the person she truly loves is Undine. Nonetheless, however, Papyrus and Undine show up to motivate Alphys. After this admittedly funny little segment, you begin leaving, but on your way out, Papyrus calls you and says that he thinks you should check in on Alphys in her lab. Upon arriving, you find a note that she left on the floor. In the note, she says that she's going to face her mistakes head on now. At the end of the note, she says that if you never hear from her again and want to find out what happened, go into her bathroom. Walking into said bathroom, you learn that it was not actually a bathroom, but in fact it was an elevator. Going down the elevator leads to the True Lab, where you find that Alphys had extracted determination from some of the human souls and injected said determination into monsters' souls in an attempt to extend their life and make it so that their souls could persist after death, just like a human's. The experiment had appeared to be a success, and so Alphys called the monsters' families, telling them that everyone was still alive, and that she would send everyone back the next day. Soon after this, though, the monsters' bodies started to fuse together. When reading through Alphys' labs, she explains that this happened because monsters don't have the physicality that humans have, and that their bodies were unable to handle the large doses of determination. Unsure of what to do about this, Alphys started to hide in her True Lab, hiding away from people and ignoring the family's calls. In one room of the lab, you find a video player and a TV, along with multiple video cassette tapes. These tapes reveal that Kara had not died mysteriously, but rather it was part of a plan that they had come up with in order to get to the surface and acquire the 6 human souls that they were needing. The plan was for Kara to die, kill herself, so that Azrael could absorb their soul and go through the barrier. From there, the plan was to kill only 6 humans and absorb their souls. Azrael would then head back and destroy the barrier, letting the monsters go free. However, as we learned earlier in New Home, the plan didn't come into tuition and Azriel ended up dying, with his dust spreading through the garden. You also learned that Alphys wanted to see what would happen if something without a soul was given life, so she decided to inject determination into the first golden flower that bloomed. However, this experiment appeared to be a failure, and so Alphys brought the flower back and replanted it. As you reach the power room, you become trapped by the amalgamates. However, Alphys comes and saves the day before they can attack. Alphys tells you that she is trying to be a better person, and that she is going to send the amalgamates back to their families and explain everything. Before entering a different elevator and leaving the True Lab, a mysterious person calls and congratulates you, before saying that they will see you soon. After the mystery caller hangs up, you can use the elevator, which brings you back to New Home. However, you are unable to go back, as the elevator has now been sealed shut with vines. When you return to the barrier, the fight with Asgore begins as normal. But this time, Toriel comes in and stops him before he can destroy the Mercy Bar. Toriel tells you that she was going to let you go on your journey alone, but decided to come and help you because she was worried about you, once she realized you would have to kill Asgore in order to leave the underground. After this, all of the friends you have made on your journey show up and begin chatting with each other. Once everyone is done talking, Alfie says that Papyrus called everyone except Toriel to meet up together before asking him how he knew who to call, because she arrived before him. To which he responds by saying a tiny flower helped him. Immediately after this, Flowey arrives and traps all of your friends in vines. He says that while everyone was talking, he took the human souls, and that now he is going to absorb the monster souls too. Before he does that, however, he traps you in a small box and attempts to kill you. However, before he can end your life, your friends use their magic to protect you, as well as heal you with words of encouragement. As they do this, all of the monsters from the underground that you have met join in too. Once everyone arrives, Flowey laughs at you and calls everyone an idiot before absorbing all of the souls. Suddenly, you see a small goat who looks up and recognizes you as the fallen human, Kara. He then turns into an adult-like form, and you realize that this is Azriel, the Queen and King's son. Suddenly, an epic boss fight begins. Playing alongside the boss fight is debatably the best song in the game, Hopes and Dreams. In the fight, Azriel tells you that he no longer cares about destroying the world, but rather he is just going to reset the timeline and erase everyone's memories, making everybody forget about you. He then says that he's going to purge the timeline before giving a cheeky shake of the head. Suddenly, you appear in a black void alongside a hypergoner, as it's called in the game files, that creates a powerful vortex that attempts to draw your soul into its mouth, alongside many other diamond-shaped objects. Surprised by your survival after this attack, Azriel tells you that he's only been using a fraction of his power, before turning into his true form, the, quote, absolute god of hyperdeath. Suddenly, your options are limited to only being able to struggle, which does nothing. Azriel then attacks you, instantly killing you. However, your determination is too powerful. You refuse to die, and you put your soul back together, gaining full health. When Azriel sees this, he tells you that every time you die, your friends will forget about you a little more, until they forget about you completely. After trying to struggle more, you try to reach your save file, but it doesn't work, causing you to realize that you can't save, but you realize that perhaps you might be able to save someone else. Suddenly, your Act button is replaced with a Save button that flashes rainbow. You are now able to save the friends you have made along your journey, who appear as lost souls. You must get your friends to remember you by doing things that they would associate with you, like telling jokes to Papyrus and Sans, or making nerdy jokes to Alphys. You are then given the option to save someone else, as you feel your friend's souls resonating within Azriel. Azrael, unaware of what you are doing, rejects any emotions, stating that he doesn't need anyone before attacking you. He demands that you get away from him, otherwise he will tear you to pieces. Once you save him, his compassion, love, and hope all return. He stops attacking you, asking if you understood why he continues to fight. He says that he does it because you are special and the only one who understands him. He says that he's doing this for you, because he cares about you more than anybody else. He tells you he isn't ready for this to end, and that he doesn't want to say goodbye again. He begins to plead, asking you to just let him win, before shooting you with an extremely powerful blast. However, through your determination, you survive his attack. As you continue to save, he admits to feeling alone and afraid before the screen slowly cuts to white. When you return, you see Azrael in this childlike form, crying. He tells you that he is sorry before saying, "I always was a crybaby, wasn't I, Kara?" "No, I know you're not actually Kara. They've been gone for a long time. So then, what is your name?" Upon learning that your name is Frisk, he says that it's a nice name. Azrael tells you that the monsters really love you. He states that he can feel every monster's hearts beating together as though they were one, and that they all desire the same thing. He says that with all the monsters' power and determination, he can finally set all monsters free. Azrael then rises into the air, shattering the barrier before letting all of the monsters' souls free. Azrael then tells you that he has to go, as he won't be able to hold his form for much longer without a soul. He says that soon he will turn back into a flower and lose all of his compassion again. Before he leaves, he asks Frisk to take care of Mom and Dad for me, okay? Before leaving. Once Azrael leaves, someone tells Frisk to wake up, and that it's all just a bad dream. Once Frisk does wake up, they are surrounded by their friends, who all explain what happened, saying that they all saw a big flash of white. Then suddenly, the barrier is broken. Once you leave the underground, you appear on what seems to be a small dirt path that stands above the town, showing the town and sun along with your friends. Eventually, everyone leaves and you're left with one final choice. The choice of either staying with Toil or saying that you have things to do. Truthfully, this game has an amazing story that impacted me in more ways than I can explain, and I just cannot do it enough justice in only one video. To truly understand how I feel, you would have to play the game for yourself. Also, just as a side note, I hold 14th place world record for the True Pacifist speedrun on versions 1.02 Plus, and 1st place for PS4 only. Undertale is truly such an amazing game. It's so hard to believe that the entire thing was made by just 2 people. It is such a beautiful and heartfelt story that it is almost guaranteed to touch you deeply. There's so much to do and so many things to discover, ranging from hidden songs to secret rooms to even secret characters. There's just so many secrets and so much hidden lore inside of the game. One playthrough just simply isn't enough to truly grasp how great this game is. The music is amazing, the story profound, and the design perfect. I love this game and everything about it. It holds a certain place in my heart that no other can, and no other game has truly been so profound and affected me the way that Undertale has. So to answer the question posted in the title, yes, Undertale was really good. But I think that it was more than good. I think that Undertale is a true masterpiece. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I really do hope that you enjoyed, as I spent a lot of time making this video. To put it into perspective, I started working on this video on June 22nd of 2020. Like seriously, it took me 3 days minimum just to write this script. I spent a lot of time on the editing as well, and I think that this may be the most effort I've ever put into a video. I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect to me, because I am really passionate about this project as well as this game. I also want to give a huge thank you to Big Smash here on YouTube for helping me with the script to the video, and another giant thank you to the other person who helped me write the script. But not only did they help write the script, they went above and beyond and even agreed to help me edit the video. So yeah, huge giant thank you to this person on Twitter. They are amazing, truly. If you want to subscribe or follow either of these people, the links to both of these people's accounts will be the first thing in the description. So yeah, just go ahead and drop by their accounts. With that being said, once again, huge thank you to everybody who watched the video. If you enjoyed, please give the video a like. If it is your first time here on the channel, then subscribe. And if you're feeling extra generous, it'd be appreciated if you gave a slight kiss on the cheek. And that's about it. I hope you would have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Real quick though, I did take some inspiration from another video called Undertale, a true masterpiece by YouTuber Vadcats. His channel will also be linked in the description. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys next time. I hope you have a good day, and adios muchachos. Bye.